Alex Wilkinson, welcome to A-League Access. It's really nice to have you with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
My first question surrounds the fixture, and there's been so many changes to the fixture over the last couple of weeks. How has that impeded your preparation? Has it sort of affected the clubs in their planning? And I'm also concerned about the player welfare, because at the moment some teams are playing 3 games in 7 days. Is there any talk about the welfare of players at the moment and stopping changes to the fixture? Because I certainly can't keep up.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, isn't it? It's been like that all year. It's just due to COVID and just the amount of changes that seem to have to happen each and every week. You really don't know who you're playing week to week, and we've literally had a draw come out for the end of the season, I think about 4 or 5 times already, and we still don't have a proper one, I think, until past I think we know we're playing this Saturday, but after that we're still sort of up in the air. So it's pretty difficult to obviously prepare, probably more so for the coaches who are trying to analyse the opposition and go through all the video work and put their plans in place for each sort of individual opponent. But for us players, I guess it's more just being flexible and being ready to play whenever it sort of pops up. And like you mentioned, the short turnarounds are sometimes pretty difficult, and we're going to have a really difficult end to the season, because we've got to get the rest of all our A-League games in before we leave for the Champions League, which is only, I think, about 3 weeks away. So we've got to try to get 9 games into 3 weeks, but I don't know how that's going to work and whether they might have to push the season out a little bit for when we come back, but it's going to be pretty busy.
Quad rotation, Alex.
That's right. Yeah, exactly right.
Well, Alex, you already mentioned it. I mean, if we think about Sydney FC and the Blues, they always have been on top of the ladder, and if not top, then second or third. So this season at the moment, you're only, other teams would be happy for that, but I guess for Sydney FC, only 6th in the ladder, 12 points behind the top teams from Melbourne. What makes this season so different and difficult? Is it just related to the fixture challenges that we just talked about?
Oh, look, not so much. I think it's largely the same for a lot of teams. A lot of teams are having to cram games in. Melbourne City are in the same position as us and having to get all their games done before Champions League. So, that's not really any sort of excuse from our part. I just don't think we've been performing as well as we need to this year. There has been some reasons around it. I think we've had, a lot of niggly injuries this year. Guys who have sort of come in and out of the squad and then would get an injury, be out for sort of 2 or 3 months, and then it takes them a while to get fit again. And those little interruptions, they might not seem like much, but, it does take time for those guys to get back, get fit, get settled back into the lineup, and it can be quite disrupting, I guess. And then you're throwing COVID on top of that, and, players coming in and out of protocols and whatnot. And it's just been one of those interrupted years. But like I said, when it all boils down to it, I just don't think we've probably been consistent enough this year and probably played well enough for long enough periods. I think we've, in certain games, played really well and maybe not got the results we deserved. But and other times, I think you look at the weekend against Perth, I think that was probably one of our not so great performances, especially with the ball. But, we were really clinical in front of goal and managed to keep a clean sheet and ended up winning 2-0. So we've just got to find that balance, and we've still got plenty of time, 9 games to go, and plenty of football to be played. So it's just a matter of getting on a run. And with the table being so close, you get a couple of wins in a row, it really can shoot you up there.
Well, Alex, the challenges are coming thick and fast. You're playing arguably the form side of the competition in Western United. Your thoughts about this clash?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. I think they've had a fantastic year so far. Johnny Aloisi's done a fantastic job with them, and first and foremost, they're really hard to beat. They keep a lot of clean sheets. They've had a lot of games where they've won 1-0, and you see it all over the world. The best teams are always built on a strong defence, and there can be days where things don't work as well when you've got the ball. But if you're strong in your structure and you're hard to beat, then you can always give yourself a chance of nicking a goal and winning 1-0. And they've done that unbelievably well. And credit to them, they're top of the league for a reason, and it's going to be a great challenge for us. But we're we're pretty confident that we can get a result. We played them twice now and had a draw and a narrow loss. And I think in the draw at home, we deserved a little bit more out of it. But it'll be another good challenge for us and a chance for us, like I said, to get a win and get 2 wins in a row and shoot up that table.
Do you plan around one particular player? I mean, would you be focusing on, for example, negating Ulysses Davila, or is it a whole team negation approach?
Not so much. We don't really focus too much on individuals. I mean, you've got to obviously be aware of certain players and what their strengths are in certain areas of the field, that's for sure, especially me as a defender, when, you know, certain attacking players like to get in certain positions and shoot or provide assists or get crosses in and things like that. And, you know, depending on what opposition you're playing, you need to adjust just little things accordingly. But most of the time, most of the focus is on us. We do quite a bit of work on each week on how we want to approach each game and the little tweaks that we do to our formation to try to gain an advantage in that clash. And we'll do the same this week, and hopefully that proves vital enough for us to get a win.
Alex, you said football is a team sport, but there is only one captain, right, in each team. So you've been the captain with Sydney now since 2019 and really following in big footsteps of people like your coach, Steve Corica, Tony Popovich, Alessandro Del Piero, Alex Brosk, you name them. And Graham Arnold also said once about you, he's a dream to coach. So what does that mean to you to be the captain of that club?
Yeah, look, I'm from Sydney. I was born here and all my family's here, all my friends are here. So to be able to be the captain of your hometown club, you know, is really special to me. You know, it's something I never really thought would happen. You know, I started my career up at the Central Coast at the Mariners and then went overseas and was never really sure if I'd get to come back and play in Sydney. But to not only be able to play in front of your family and friends regularly, but to also captain, you know, your hometown club is pretty special. And like you said, there's been some really fantastic leaders come before me. Some of the guys you mentioned there are absolute legends of the club and have guided the club to some unbelievable highs throughout 16 years, I think it is now, the A-League. So it's just about me sort of carrying on, I guess, that legacy and doing my bit and hopefully leaving, I guess, when I do move on, leaving the team and the club in just as good a position as it was when I sort of picked up the captaincy, I guess.
I'm pretty sure about that. Let's move on to Champions League. You already mentioned it. It's coming up. So Sydney had now a quite decent 5-0 in the preliminary round against Kaya Loilo from the Philippines. And now it's the group phase and a few heavyweights in there. So Yokohama Marinos from Japan, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors from South Korea, and Hwanghan Gilei from China. Two very special opponents, especially Jeonbuk. You played there for 3 years. So what does that mean for you, and how is the contact still to the club?
Yeah, it's been about, I think, 5 years since I left Korea, and like you said, I was at Jeonbuk for 3.5, nearly 4 seasons, and I had a fantastic time there. It was an unbelievable experience. You know, I went there with myself and my wife and a 4-week-old baby, and we ended up, you know, we were only meant, my original contract was for 2 years, and we ended up staying for nearly 4. And the club looked after me really well, off the pitch, but also on the pitch. We had a lot of success there and won a few trophies, which, you know, makes me look back pretty fondly on my time there. And like you said, they're a great club. They're a powerhouse in Asia. They've won the Champions League a few times before, and they're in and amongst, you know, the quarterfinals, semi-finals, sort of every year that they're involved. And it's going to be another good challenge for us. I'm looking forward to catching up with a few familiar faces. There's still quite a few backroom staff who are there, and I think the coach at the moment was actually one of the players who I played with, so it'll be good to catch up with him. And like you mentioned, Yokohama's got an Aussie taste to it as well, with Kevin Muscat taking over from Ange last year, and they've started the league really well as well. I think they're on top of the J League, so it's a difficult group. But you know, we had those two in our group last year as well, and we seem to, every time we draw in the Asian Champions League, we draw a pretty difficult group, but it's going to be a good challenge for us, and you know, we're looking forward to it. We sort of really want to do better in the Champions League. It's one facet of, I guess, the club that we haven't been too successful in over the last 4 or 5 seasons, and it's something that we really want to do a little bit better in.
Alex, yeah, I mean, speaking of Ange and Kevin, obviously they've had fantastic coaching careers. Is there, with Kevin Muscat as well, you would have come across him in the brief time you were with Melbourne City. And yeah, how do you see his coaching, and what do you expect from him given his history in the A-League?
Yeah, Muskie's I played against him many a times, and he's the perfect example of a guy who's got that white line fever. He he's a fantastic guy off the pitch, but as soon as you step onto that pitch, it's win at all costs. And you love to have those people in your change room or in your dressing room, and I'm sure he's sort of brought that into his role as a coach now, and I'm sure he expects a lot of his players and for his players to leave everything on the pitch and do everything they can to win, just like he did as a player. So credit to him for going to Japan. It's a difficult job going to a foreign country, trying to, let alone for me as a player when I was in Korea, to understand, the system that we want to play and what the coach wants from you. But to be a coach in that environment and have to communicate with 30, 40 players and get your tactical approach across and the way you want the game played, both in attack and defence, is very difficult. And Ange managed to do it very well, and now Kevin looks like he's taken to it very well as well. So it'll be good to catch up with him in Vietnam. But like I said, once we get on the pitch, hopefully we can get a win. How
important is, because you mentioned that this is one of the trophies that has eluded, or one of the competitions that the Sydney FC haven't really done well in, but how important is Champions League to all clubs, all A-League clubs? Is it something they should be striving to get into? In Europe, it's a huge competition. Is it the same feeling here with the Asian Championship League?
Yeah, look, it's a great chance for you as a club and as an individual to test yourself against the best that your region has to offer. And I think especially from a player's point of view, it's we play the same teams in the A-League over and over every year, and it's great to be able to go and experience playing against guys from different cultures, from different regions, who play different formations and play the game a completely different way, experience different crowds and different atmospheres. It's a real eye opener, especially for the younger players. And unfortunately, with COVID over the last 2 or 3 now, I think, Champions League campaigns, they're in that sort of centralized bubble that you don't get to travel to each sort of region and experience the different countries. But I'm sure once COVID, well, I don't know if it's ever going to end, but once we get it under control, it'll be sort of business as usual. We'll get back to that traveling and playing home and away. It really adds an extra layer to a season, I think, and it's something that I've enjoyed playing in over a number of years now. And like I said, for young players, it gives them a great idea and a great vision into what sort of it takes to sometimes get to that next level and to push on further than that.
Alex, projecting ahead to next week's vital Socceroos clash, as an ex-Socceroo yourself, no doubt you'll be glued to the TV, or you might even be at the game. How do the Socceroos approach this match tactically? You know Arnold so very well, of course. You spent many seasons with him. What will the Socceroos do tactically?
Yeah, well, look, obviously they've got to win both games, but I don't think much will change. I know with Arnie that he's really big on routine and doing things much the same way. Just because these games are vitally important doesn't mean that he'll change the build up to the game at all. It's all about players being familiar with their roles and being familiar with the lead up to the game. So I don't think you'll see too many changes tactically. I think obviously there's no point blowing caution to the wind and trying to go all out in the first half or in the early part of the game, because Japan are a very good opponent. They've got a lot of very good players that play in the top levels of Europe now, and they can punish you if you're too open. So I think you'll be wary of that. But at the same time, we're at home, and the Socceroos have got a very good record on home soil. So, I think we can definitely win that game. And then obviously we move on to the Saudi game. And, hopefully they've actually already qualified by the time we get that game played. I think they play their first game the same time as we do. And if they win, I think they're close to being automatically through. So that may help with us going over there. They may rest a few players or whatever, and it might make our job a tiny bit easier. But it's going to be a difficult task, but knowing Arnie, he'll be full of confidence and he won't take a backward step, and he'll instill a lot of belief and confidence in the players, and they'll be ready to go.
Is there any one player in the Socceroos that you are enjoying watching at the moment that, you know, you think he has the X factor and could really help them cross the line?
Yeah, I think Tommy Rogic is so vital to us at the moment. He's ever since Andrew's gone to Celtic, he's had a new lease of life at Clubland, and he's been providing assists. He's been scoring goals. He's been running the show in Scotland for Celtic, and that sort of translated onto the pitch when he came back in the last international break, and he was fantastic in the games we played there. So I think we need to make sure that he's fit and firing in both games, probably, to help us get across the line. Also, Aaron Moyer, I think, is key to us as well. He's got that sort of creative spark. He can also drop deep and pick up the ball and start the play as well. He's got that vision to be able to hit the switches of play or find the players in the little spaces between the midfield and defence, and he can also score a goal as well. So I think those two players are really key to us, and obviously someone up front. Jamie McLaren's been in great form here in Australia in the A-League, and we need someone to start banging in the goals. So hopefully he can score a few for us.
You yourself played at the World Cup. Was that, would you say, the highlight of your international career?
Yeah, without a doubt. It was an unbelievable experience. The best experience I've had in football. I never thought I'd get to a World Cup. I didn't debut for the Socceroos until I was, I think, 28 or 29. So I thought that the time had sort of passed me by. And when I did debut, we were only 6 months away from the World Cup. So I sort of found myself, I think it was my third game for the Socceroos. I was starting against Chile in the first game in Brazil. So that was really special. And I guess also having the World Cup in Brazil made it extra special. They sort of, the way that they love their football and the way they live and breathe it and the party atmosphere that they create in the stadiums, that made it extra special as well. And, it's something I'll never forget. We got to play against some great teams, some great players. And yeah, without a doubt, the highlight of my career for sure.
George. Alex, now, you've been in your 6th season with Sydney FC. You've had an illustrious playing career. What's next for you, Alex? Coaching, perhaps? Not that I'm trying to pension you off, of course. But...
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not too sure yet. I'm not too sure. I'd love to continue playing as long as I feel that, I can contribute at a high enough level. Sydney FC is a big club, and like you said, we need to be challenging for trophies every season. So as long as I can play to that standard and contribute to that, I'd love to keep playing. But when that eventually does stop, I guess I'm not too sure what the next chapter is. I don't know if I want to coach or not. I'm currently studying my MBA in business, so the business side of the game interests me as well. So it might be something in the admin area or
player management, perhaps.
Yeah, player management, football director, or something like that. Not necessarily coaching, but I'd love to stay involved in the game because it's all I've known now for 20 odd years, and it'd be a shame to sort of walk away altogether. So I'd love to stay involved in some capacity, but we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
What about TV commentator?
Maybe a commentator, yeah, exactly. Maybe a commentator. That could be good as well. I know Broski's doing a good job with that, so maybe he can hook me up with a job.
There you go. Well, Alex Wilkinson, thank you so much for your time tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you play against Western United on the weekend. So have a great game, and we look forward to watching the Champions League as well. That's going to be a fantastic competition with hopefully 3 A-League teams in it this year.
That's right. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Best of luck for the final third of the season.
Thank you guys.